All right, good morning, everybody. Today's Thursday, August 14th. I'm John Weigell with Juliet, Bennett, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Cursor, the $9.9 billion AI coding startup, has a strict no-shoes policy in the office. While Americans are freaking out about foot odor and scattered Nikes, this is actually standard practice in many cultures, and other startups like Notion and Gusto have been doing it for years. Let's break down the no-shoe phenomenon today in tech companies. And we'll get to that in the biggest headlines in business and tech right after this. HubSpot helped Tumblr solve a big problem. They needed to move fast to produce trending content, but their marketing team was stuck waiting on engineers to code every single email campaign. Now they use HubSpot's customer platform to email real-time, trending content to millions of users in just seconds. The impact? 3 times more engagement and double the content creation. Want to move fast like Tumblr? Visit HubSpot.com. So starting off our headlines today, the VCs are going to VC. VC firm Slow Ventures invested $2 million in woodworking influencer Jonathan Katz-Moses, the first spend from its $60 million creator fund. The fund is designed to help content creators compound their online success with off-platform businesses. In this case, Katz-Moses, whose YouTube channel has amassed 75 million views, will expand his own line of woodworking tools and accessories. And next up, TCS World Travel is offering an ambitious, all-inclusive expedition over 7 continents by private jet, which will cost $205,000 per person and will send 52 travelers at a time on a private jet to all 7 continents. The tour's 29-day itinerary is aggressively bucket listy, packing in the likes of Machu Picchu, the Great Barrier Reef, Antarctica, and African safari, and also the pyramids of Giza. And finally, the travel company got a private Airbus A321 to make it happen. From there, we jet set to Japan. McDonald Japan sent out an apology this week to its customers due to the absolute chaos that locations of the Golden Arches came under recently in the country. The culprit? A 3-day Pokemon Happy Meal promo. And finally, K-pop song Golden topped Billboard's Top 100 rankings this week, and the song comes from a cartoon girl group. It appears in Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters, an animated musical about Huntrix, a K-pop girl group that makes music and hunts demons. Sounds about right. The song actually is performed by musicians EJ, Audrey Nuna, and Ray Ami, and the full soundtrack is currently the world's second most popular album behind Morgan Wallen's I'm the Problem. That's the problem. The film is such a smash that it's headed to the US and Canadian theaters for fan sing-along events later this month, and I did watch it. The songs are very catchy, confirmed. For more headlines like that, you can subscribe to the show, and we'll have more for you tomorrow. But right now, Juliet, we're going to talk about shoes. Seems like some startups, including Cursor, are saying no shoes to the office. What do we got on this?
That is correct. This is not really a news story. This has been going on for a while. It's just sort of making the waves right now because a employee of Cursor, Ben Lang, posted on Twitter or posted on X that, no shoes in the office. And he was saying that this is the second startup that he's worked for where they have a no shoes policy. And he was just curious about, how widespread this was. So, a lot of people are talking right now about, is it weird to have an office where you don't wear shoes?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the discourse, especially in the United States. It's not a country that is afraid of having shoes indoors, which my mother coached me from a young age to never do in the house.
Right.
But in the U.S. in general, shoes inside are often okay. So for some of these companies, that might be a bit of a cultural difference for a lot of Americans employed there.
Yeah, that's what's always so bizarre to me. And I don't know if it's bizarre to me because I am an American and I deal with Americans all day long, or if other cultures are like this. But I feel like every time someone tries to do something that is very common somewhere else, I see Americans freaking out about it. Like it is literally a foreign concept to them. And this is one of them. I remember during the pandemic, people started talking about eating outdoors.
Yeah.
So our city, I live in Los Angeles. started allowing people to put chairs and tables on the sidewalks in parking lots. And then people were like, oh my God, eating on the sidewalk, who wants to do that? And I'm like, may I introduce you to Europe?
Yeah. Right.
And also during the pandemic, I was living in Koreatown. So most of my neighbors were Korean and nobody had a problem with wearing a mask because in Asian cultures that I've experienced, if you're sick, even pre-pandemic, you'd wear a mask to protect other people from your germs. When I was in Japan, I very commonly saw people wearing masks, and it was just because they had a cold and they didn't want to give that cold to someone else. While here in America, people acted like wearing a mask was an affront to their personal freedoms and they were going to lose their minds. And I think the shoe thing is very similar.
Yeah, it's a cousin of the mask problem, I feel.
Right.
But in workplaces, it is a bit of a change.
Right.
Because historically, our American workspaces have been very just like, yeah, it's the office. You know, you take your shoes to get there, so you should be able to wear them inside, I guess. You did draw a line between the parent of Cursor as well as this no shoes policy.
Yeah. So a lot of the startups that Business Insider had named and a lot of the startups that were mentioned in conversation about that had a founder who was Asian and so grew up in a household where it was very common for hygienic reasons to take your shoes off. That is also common in Sweden. When you go to someone's house in Sweden, it's common that you would take your shoes off. And Arvid Lunemark is a co-founder of Cursor's parent company, Anysphere. So he grew up in Sweden where, again, it is pretty common that it is polite to remove your shoes before you enter someone's home. Now, most of these cultures, it's very common to do that when you go to someone's house. I think that's also somewhat common in America, depending on whose house it is or what the situation is. I have some friends that are like, no, we're going inside, we're going outside, we're barbecuing, leave your shoes on. I just stop taking them on and off. Don't leave them in a pile. And then I have some people who are like, you take your shoes off. That is the first thing you do.
Yeah.
Before hugging, before anything else, you hand what you're carrying to them and you take your shoes off immediately. I would say it is more common in some other countries to expand that to other places. So again, I recall being in Japan, pretty much everywhere I went, you walked in the door, you took your shoes off, they had other shoes for you, typically house slippers.
Right.
Or they might have shoe coverings that you put over your shoes.
Right.
I ran into that sometimes in Los Angeles, in Koreatown. My gym had that policy in the locker room. So you'd work out with your shoes in the gym, but when you went into the locker room, you replaced your shoes with slippers or you took them off immediately.
Yeah.
And so there are two cultures we at least know, Sweden and most Asian cultures, where this is really common. And maybe it seems weird in the United States, but it's actually pretty common practice, you know, especially in homes and these other places. And when you think about the office, when you think about Silicon Valley, especially in these tech companies, they're trying to make the office more comfortable. You're wearing business casual. You've got lounge chairs instead of, you know, cubicles. You've got all of this stuff to make you feel more at home. This is one way to do that. You're comfortable. You're not wearing shoes. You've got your slippers on. You got your socks on.
Sure.
I think it makes sense. It's weird, I think, for Americans when they first think about it, when they think about their gross socks or bare feet or whatever, but you don't have to be gross. I think it's like a lot of these people were like, oh, imagine the smell. I'm like, what's going on with you, man? Like,
right. Are you running a marathon before work today or something? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm confused about people who are convinced that it's going to smell real bad in there. I'm concerned about your personal hygiene and your feet. I'm personally concerned for you.
Right. And I mean, this also doesn't come without perks. You noted that a slipper stipend is also being offered.
Yes.
So you could just buy your own slippers, whatever slippers you like the best, and you can wear those and be cozy in those bad boys for the day.
Yeah, Speak, that's another Bay Area company. It's a language learning app. Its first market was South Korea, so they do the whole no shoes thing. And when you sign up for the company, when you get hired, you get a slipper stipend. So you can go out buy yourself a nice pair of slippers.
Yeah, there you go.
A couple of these offices had heated floors so that people's feet were nice and toasty. I read an article in The Guardian suggesting that, you know, maybe people think it's weird, but what if you had branded socks for your company that you gave guests and employees, you know, so everybody's wearing your branded socks. I think there's a lot of ways to implement a policy like this if you want to. If you think employees are, you know, not as comfortable, if you think they would be more comfortable. I think one of the problems with Ben's photo on X is that it's just like a bunch of shoes like on the floor, like at a toddler's birthday party.
Yeah, right. It looks very, very chaotic.
Right. You can get a cubby like at the yoga studio.
Yeah.
Everyone can have their own cubby, perhaps. Their assigned cubby. The slippers are in there and then you swap them out. It could be just like kindergarten.
Yeah, right. Or just like before you take the elevator in Severance or something. Very similar. Either one.
Oh, yeah. I think for me, I'm like, this is interesting because I've never worked anywhere where you didn't wear shoes. I think in America, an example of that might be like a yoga studio, or if you're a lifeguard at a pool. Like, it is so rare. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, I don't wear shoes at my house, which is where I work. I don't get up every day and put on sneakers to do this podcast with you.
Yeah.
So
true.
I think it does make sense from a comfort level. I'm just kind of floored by all the comments that are like, no, this is disgusting. And like, okay, well, I don't know. It's really not. You know, the reason feet are smelly, I looked this up. I read a whole doctor's report on it just for this. It is because you trap your feet. With all your sweat and your bacteria, you trap your feet in socks and shoes. You wear the same shoes over and over again. That's why your feet are smelly. You got to let your feet breathe. Maybe
loose.
you should get some house slippers.
Let them out there.
Yeah,
Let them out there. Maybe you should take off your shoes more.
Yeah, take your shoes off, you know?
That's the answer.
Wash your feet, let them dry, and then, walk around. Let your feet be free.
Keep them out there. Be free.
Yeah. Now your feet don't smell. I get not taking your shoes off on an airplane. That is kind of rude, but like, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Yeah.
I don't think, your feet have to smell.
No, I don't think they have to. And also, if you're going into the office, just be courteous to those around you. No problem.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Maybe get some cool socks, some statement socks.
Right. Come on. All right, and that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you tomorrow.
Look, I'm going to be straight with you. Everybody's talking about AI, but most people are just playing around with ChatGPT instead of actually making money from it. That's why we dropped the ultimate crash course to create your own AI side hustle in 7 days. We're talking real frameworks and strategies from the pros, like the founder of The Hustle, Sam Parr. It includes mini guides, templates, the whole 9 yards, stuff that takes years to figure out, condensed into 1 week. Stop what you're doing right now and grab it in the show notes. Your future self will thank you.